And I keep having technical difficulties. We're gonna make this work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like I've had it to stream also to LinkedIn, but I'm gonna have to see why it keeps doing that, not doing it right. Oh, hi. Now it's showing that it's live after it was acting like it wasn't live. You just never know what Facebook is gonna give you every day. So, hi, Dr. Jaquel. Welcome everyone to Growth Groove with Dr. Ericka. I'm so excited to have you here tonight. I know this is my one time to use it because I have a super, super special guest tonight. You're going to love it. You don't want to miss it. If you're just kind of cruising by, I urge you to just pause and stop and hang out with us. I'm not going to keep you here forever, but you're going to miss the good stuff. Keep going. So again, this is Growth Groove with Dr. Ericka, and tonight I have a special guest who I'm going to tell you a little bit more about in a couple of minutes, Dr. Kadisha Rapp. She is a board certified emergency medicine physician, and she's freaking brilliant and one of my super friends. So I'm so happy that she decided to grace me and all of y'all with her presence. So I'm feeling all of the love, and as the little millennials and young people do.
Thank you, Dr. Ericka. You're the best. You're the best. Thank you for having me on.
No worries. No worries. Hi, Dr. Ken. Before we get started, just need to do a couple of really quick housekeeping tips. Are you ready? Housekeeping tip 1. If you know someone that needs this or would benefit from this message, tag them. Housekeeping tip number 2. If you know someone would benefit from this, share it. Sharing is caring. Number 3, I don't know why I'm counting on my hands like I'm Brother Man from the fifth floor. Number 3 is if you're watching this later on replay, it's all good. I'm just happy you decided to show me some love. Put hashtag replay in the comments. So tonight's topic is mentally and physically preparing for protests. This came up because, let's face it, there are protests. There's so much going on with the dehumanization of Black people in this country. People are shifting and looking at the Black Lives Matter movement. And one of the ways people are looking to be change agents and to participate and to share or to express their emotions is through protest. But one of the things we want to make sure is that people are safe or as safe as possible when they do it. Plus, it's National Safety Month, so we got to be safe. Now, I can't take credit. The first person that said it was National Safety Month, so I knew it was here, was Dr. Kadisha. So we're so excited to have her here. She's totally brilliant. She has also some wonderful products that she'll be telling you about. But rather than butcher her bio, I'm going to let her tell you more about her. Take it away.
Well, thanks, Dr. Ericka. Thank you. So, yeah, I'm Dr. Kadisha. I'm your board certified emergency medicine physician and author of the book, Help Us Help You in the Emergency Room. It's to help people be better prepared for an ER visit. And that's like the root of my passion as far as getting people, if you can't be entirely safe, at least be prepared. But I want you to be safe. And that's why I'm here, because I want to share some tips about safety from an ER person's standpoint. So I'm from DC. In DC, people are progressive. They protest. I come from a family of protesters. I've been there. So this is another reason why this is close to my heart.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love the fact that you have so much that you can bring to this from your, not only your organic experience of being from DC and being just in that political climate, but also your position of being an emergency medicine physician and expert. So Dr. Kadisha has been really busy between COVID and protests. And then all the stuff in between.
Yeah, it's like a perfect storm.
I know, just storm on storm on storm. So thanks everybody for coming on. We're going to go ahead and guess what? Get this party started. Once I get all the technology in order, which I just did. So as we were talking about is that this is a pretty unique time because we're dealing with just the total bubble up, bubble over situation with so many people just being fed up with the way that Black people have been treated in this country. And what seems so unique about this time, and I'm sure Dr. Kadisha would agree, is the fact that it's not just Black people that are upset. But one of the things that's neat is it's at a point where a lot of people have hit that enough is enough point. And at this point, what's going on is part of people's natural desire, and with a lot of people, the way they look at what people's purpose is, what human purpose is that there's some element, typically, no matter what spiritual construct, personality construct, is that there's an element of, as you live your purpose and elevate your vibration and elevate your life, that there is some element of service involved. And at this point, a lot of people are feeling the need to either serve or do something to make this country and world better. And one of the ways this is coming up is, as we discussed earlier, is by feeling the urge to participate in protests. So I'm going to start with one question for Dr. Kadisha, and there's going to be many questions, so don't worry. And also, if you have any comments or questions or things you want to hear about, make sure you put it in the chat for us, all right? We will be keeping an eye on it. There'll be no chat left behind today. So what are some of the risks of these protests, given that it's not just protests, but it's protests during a pandemic? Because we all know that even though there's this kind of Jedi mind trick going around that it's over or we're tired of it, that is still here. So what do you think are some of the risks of this particular time in this perfect storm?
And that's a great question, because I'm here in Texas, where a lot of people are acting like it's over, and now we're near the top of the list as far as the resurgence of cases. So yes, a reminder about the risk. So you're out there. We had 60,000 people just a mile away from me 2 weeks ago for the George Floyd protest. 60,000 people within a city block. And so social distancing went out the window. So cases are surging now 2 weeks later. If you are, and you can see the diagrams online, so people are wearing the blue surgical masks, they're wearing homemade masks, things like that. And then you're mixed with people, surrounded by people who aren't wearing a mask. And the studies have shown that if someone is a carrier, and it's a lot of young people who are protesting, so they are relatively without symptoms, aka asymptomatic, and they're feeling fine. They don't think they're transmitting anything, but they're standing next to you, shouting, screaming, and you're wearing a surgical mask that gaps on the side. You have about a 75% transmission rate, or chance of transmission, or getting it from someone who is within 6 feet of you, who is an asymptomatic carrier. So there's that. And then we're still diagnosing people with strep and flu, and you can get all those things at once too. So it's not just COVID. I know that's the main thing, but yeah, you can catch COVID at these protests. And they're even saying, and they said in Atlanta, if you caught the coronavirus, at a protest on a Friday, by Wednesday, expect to see symptoms. So that's just one of the things. That's just the pandemic related risk of going to the protest. We didn't even get into the other ones.
Yes. And I know I was looking at some information. They were also talking, I know one of the things I'm going to ask you about, we can probably segue into it, is the wonderful world of goggles. And I know one of the reasons, there are a couple of reasons to wear goggles. And one of the ones that they also mentioned is, naturally just the idea of things shooting into your eye. What are some other, are there any other reasons to wear goggles other than simply protection for like rubber bullets or gas or anything like that?
So, right. So in addition to the tear gas and the non-lethal bullets, you can catch COVID through the eyes also. So say you touch an infected surface, or say someone's respiratory droplets touch your hands, and you just happen to brush something out of your eye, you could catch it that way. One of the medical experts for Good Morning America thinks he caught COVID through the eyes just by taking a plane. So yeah, you can definitely catch it through the eyes. That's why they say don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth without at least washing your hands first, because it's really easy to catch.
Right. And the other thing I saw, and the interesting thing is we'd been talking about masks anyway, just in general, as something that you would wear for protection, be it protest or non-protest. And one of the things I think gets lost, because I know you're in Texas, you see it. I'm in Georgia. Georgia is extra special. So is Tennessee. That people just seem, it's almost like they have COVID fatigue. Like they can't think about COVID anymore. So they just like, COVID's over.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with it anymore. But one of the things that I was reading, which I hadn't actually thought about because I'd already been thinking about just regular mass stuff, is that at these rallies, that when people are yelling chants, that increases the rate of droplets.
Yes, indeed. And there's something called slipstream. Studies have found that, if you're breathing heavily, just like Dr. Ericka said, you're increasing the amount of your respiratory droplets being in the air. And if someone is directly behind you or, within 6 feet, that increases the chance of transmission. Because even in the park, they mentioned slipstream with reference to just running in the park. And they said, if someone is 6 feet away from you, huffing and puffing, and you're like right behind them running, you could get it, because those droplets, as they're huffing and puffing, can go 12 feet back. So you have to be like, out of the radius of 12 feet of a person who is, chanting, breathing heavily and things like that. And that is not happening at these protests. People are not protesting 12 feet apart.
Yes, I definitely hear you. And they were actually saying, the article I was reading mentioned that it's one of the reasons that it's important for everyone to have signs to potentially not chant or yell as much to decrease droplets. Now, the ones I've seen, I haven't had a chance to make it out to the protest myself. They don't seem like they're the most quiet things.
No, because and I actually was invited to like a trail ride, like a peaceful protest that led from the Third Ward of Houston to Discovery Green, where the protest was. And I couldn't find it in myself to go, but I drove there and sat maybe about 2 blocks away from the protest, and I could hear them yelling 2 blocks away.
Right. And one of the reasons I wanted to do this is there are some recommendations that they sound brilliant. They're just difficult to put in practice. So the ones that you can, that you're really in control of, it's great to make sure that people know, because they were talking about being in small groups and being very spaced out. But a lot of the ones I have seen are a bit more crowded than that. Then people, like everyone could kind of be 6 feet apart.
Right. And it doesn't matter, how small the group is. All it takes is one infected person, for it to spread. One of the first cases of COVID that I had seen and treated was a gentleman and his wife who had gone to his sister's birthday party. He was like, yeah, it was just 8 of us. And it's like, yeah. And then he showed me a text from his sister saying, hey, everybody, I got COVID, go get tested. He and his wife ended up positive, and it was 8 people in a group.
Well, and that goes back to how these smaller groups, even if they weren't huge events, there was just so much spread in those smaller clusters. Because I remember at one point it was a lot of birthday parties, and funerals.
Exactly. Exactly. And people are sneaking. Let me see. I think about 8 days ago, I was working, and a young man said that he had an Airbnb party. So even though the clubs are closed and people aren't having the funerals, so they're having virtual funerals and things like that, people are finding ways around, what the state and the cities are trying to do to protect us. So they're renting Airbnbs and then having their personal, like, club-like atmosphere.
And I know we've all seen plenty of pictures and videos of these backyard large gatherings that are still going on. And I just want to take a quick moment, because we were talking about masks.
Yes.
I wanted to take a quick moment to do Dr. Ericka's greatest hits of everything I hate about mask wearing, starring Mask Sewn by My Mother. Dr. Ericka's top mask issue she wants to hurt everybody for is this one. Mask with the nose down. I see it all day. First one is the mask with the nose out. The other is the mask. It's like there's these handful of basic things, and then we're going to switch from COVID talk that will protect you. But a mask is only as good as how you actually are wearing. So if you're wearing a mask and your nose is out, or the other thing I've seen are some people that the mask is on the tip of their nose, but a large chunk of their nostrils are out.
Okay. And it's all open, like around here. If it's on the tip of your nose, all of this is open.
Yes. So it's important that you have a mask that actually fits your face. That sometimes functional beats cute any day with a mask. Because it's kind of the way it works is a mask is my gift to you, and your mask is your gift to me. It only all works well if all of us have our mask on. But it's important to actually wear it correctly. Now, I know we've had a little COVID talk, and oh my gosh, Dr. Ken says he's seen mesh masks. I don't even know what to say about that. That just sounds like someone's trying to bring back Prince style, but not pandemic. Like they need the mesh to be over fabric or some breathable, non-woven material. But I want to shift. We'll switch back to a few things that we'll need, but I want to shift a little bit away from COVID to what are some things people need to be looking to protect themselves for? That's not just COVID related when it comes to preparing for these protests.
Okay, well, yeah, and thanks for touching on that. So, I mean, it could be the most basic thing. Like, one thing is, like before you even go, there are things that you need to be thinking about your protection, like before you get there. Like don't go alone. I think some people are going to the protest alone, thinking they're just going to stand in a crowd and, shout a little and go home. And it's like, no, you need to bring someone with you in case you get hurt. You need to have your ID, your insurance with you, and the person that comes with you needs to have their insurance and ID, because if you're a real friend, if they don't have it, it's going to be like you don't have it, because you're not going to leave them, and the protest is going to get cut short. You're going to spend a couple hours getting ticked off at someone like me in the emergency room, because there's a delay possibly in you getting care. If you have any chronic conditions, if you have asthma or something, even if you haven't had an asthma attack in 6 months, bring that inhaler with you, so that, if you're getting worked up or something, or, just Murphy's Law, you get an attack while in a crowd, you can address that, because you're not going to have easy access to an ambulance. Even if someone calls an ambulance for you, they might not be able to get close to you. They might not be able to get but like 3 blocks away. So you've got to think about that. You have to think about the fact that, okay, medical personnel might not be able to get to me if I become injured. Now, and I've posted on my Instagram, there's a video of a young lady a few blocks from here who was at a protest, and she got trampled by a horse. I mean, she wasn't completely trampled, but she was knocked over. And I think like maybe one hoof touched her, but no ambulances can get there. And you have to think about the other things that could happen, other than you just standing in a crowd, shouting, waving, and going home. People are throwing stuff. I remember being in a crowd and I got hit in the head with a full can of soda right up against the back of my head. And it's just like, just stuff is getting thrown around. So, Yeah, you have to think about that. And I'm sorry, like I said, I'm passionate about this. So Dr. Ericka,
Don't
please.
apologize for the passion. That's why I have you here. It's for the passion. Let it out.
So yeah, just don't go alone. Have your documentation, have your insurance cards, make it sure that it's current, make sure that your friends are good as far as their ID and that, in your backpack, have, your inhaler or your Benadryl or, stuff like that. If you know you have allergies or asthma, bring your mask. You should already have one on, but bring your masks, bring an extra one in case someone really close to you or someone who joins you guys doesn't have a mask. And like your sanitizer, your gloves, things like that, just to make sure that you're as safe as possible while you're protesting.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful. And as we're kind of transitioning into this, the other thing is really important is it's this preparation aspect, because people feel this almost compulsion to do something, and it's so easy to just be like, I want to protest, I want my voice to be heard, I want people to know how I feel, and just be like and just go.
Yeah.
And it's important to plan ahead of time so that you actually have what you need. Like Dr. Kadisha mentioned, you need your ID, your driver's license, your gloves, your hand sanitizer, ideally some type of eyewear or goggles or something to protect your eyes in case the block gets hot or something happens. You just never know. You also want to have, if you have your cell phone, this is a good idea that it might be to have one of those extra portable chargers with you if you're going to be out for a while. Since that's a major way that people communicate. You also want to let a few people know where you're going, so that if you don't check in or they don't hear from you, they know something's happened and where to find you. This is a time that might be useful to activate. I know a lot of us turned it off back in the day. On iPhones, they have Find My Friends, where you can see where your people are. That this is a time that might be helpful, so that if something happens or somebody's wondering what's going on with you, it's very easy for someone to locate you or find you, and to have that emergency contact done in your phone. I think you put in like, in case of emergency. Apple actually in health, you can actually put your major health information so someone can get it. The main thing is you don't want a situation where something fluky happens, you end up at Dr. Kadisha's ER, and then she's flying by not knowing what your medication allergies are, if you have any underlying medical conditions. If you want to go low tech, write your meds out and your health conditions on a piece of paper that you have with you. Just so that it's easy for that information to be transmitted, so that you can get the best care possible if something were to happen. Because sometimes it's not even a situation where, people got tear gassed or trampled or rubber bullets or things like that. But, every once in a while, it's just stressful and someone has a heart attack or a panic attack, or it's hot outside, it is summer. The other thing that people recommend that you have is also have some water or something to hydrate with, because especially going out and it's hot, a lot of places we're over 80 degrees, is that if you're outside for a little while or for long stretches, because most people aren't going outside to protest for 10 or 15 minutes, that you want to make sure that you have your essentials with you, so that you have what you need.
Right. And you don't want heat illness to cut your protesting short. You don't. So just like Dr. Ericka said, make sure that you hydrate yourself well before you go. Have water with you while you're there, just so your day doesn't go left because people have to carry you, a block away from crowds to get help or something like that.
And honestly, a lot of these, the way they're coming up, it's not a situation where this is like where you ran a marathon or something and there are all these medical stations along the way. So, the last thing you want to do is fall out from a heat related things. They suck.
Right. And the cops they're not there to address medical emergencies. Just like when in Dallas, this young guy, I think he's about 26 years old, this guy named Brandon Science, he was wandering around. This is another thing too. Just watch your surroundings. Watch where the police are, where those police lines are, because he was just wandering around. He was looking for a friend, and he saw the police line. He took a few steps closer to them before, and then they fired the bullet, the rubber bullet, and he lost his eye. And it could have been due to the trauma. It could have been due to the delay in getting treatment. Some people had to scoop him up and put them in their car, strangers, and take him to the hospital to get treatment. So, and he said the police just said, "We don't care. Y'all got to get out of here." That's all the police said. Not, "We're going to call the ambulance for you." No, they said, "We don't care. You guys got to clear out of here."
Well, and it's, I think you're bringing up a really good point, which is, and we'll shift gears a little bit into mental preparation. So part of the mental preparation is getting yourself in the mindset to be aware of your surroundings and where you are. Because as she mentioned, sometimes people may aimlessly walk around or just be walking and not pay attention to where they're going. So you want to have a good sense at all times of where police are. You also just think of this like holiday time in the mall parking lot.
Yes.
That you want to be aware of everything. You want to know and be aware of who's around you, what's going on, because we all know that in the middle of these protests that at times there are people that are well-meaning, and then at times there are people, not most of the people, but a few people that get mixed in that are there to start chaos, or or may even be white supremacists that are just kind of infiltrating. So you just want to keep an eye out for your own safety and be present. And that transitions to another thing for preparation. Try to get some sleep. I want you to have a clear head and be thinking clearly when you're out there. I don't want you to be tired and sleep deprived and then realize that you're not noticing anything that's going on with you, not because you don't want to, but because you are just too tired to attend to your environment. The other thing, and Dr. Kadisha and I, and actually her mom, who was like the sweetest, we're having a conversation. And the other thing is preparing yourself for what you may see out there. And especially if you're taking young people out, what they may see, because you just can't always predict. Some of these go off. They're totally peaceful. People went out, they said Black Lives Matter, all their stuff, and then they quietly go home. Nothing has happened.
Right.
But can you talk about some of the things people should be prepared to see? Because they can see a lot of stuff out there.
Yes, indeed. So, just like the young lady who got trampled by the horse, people were alarmed by that. The gentleman in Dallas who got shot in the eye. But then other things, just, less or different. I say things that are dramatic in a different way. Right. I remember going to a police brutality protest that Al Sharpton had in DC, and I'm gonna be giving my age, about 20 years ago. And there were people who came down from New York City. I think, and it was like Dominican folks, Puerto Rican folks, and they had signs with large pictures of their sons in their coffins after they'd been shot by police. And I mean, it's 20 years later, and I still remember that. So you could, people could have graphic pictures of what happened to, their loved ones at the rallies. You could see people getting injured. People in Atlanta, I think I saw footage of the police like pushing the barricade against people. You can see violence at the protest, and there might even be anti-protest groups there, and things could get pretty contentious. So, you have to prepare the young person in your life, or even yourself, to see, just unexpected things that can just happen suddenly. Just like being at the club when a fight breaks out. You're just like, and everybody's running around because it started just like that. Stuff can pop up just like that at a protest, just like it does, anywhere that there's a large gathering of people.
Thank you so much. And one of the other things to also get your mind right is the other thing that to be mentally prepared for is it's a lot of intense emotion. It's one thing if it's one, two, three, or four people, and you're just intensely, angry or pissed off or frustrated with the situation. It's another thing when you put hundreds of thousands of that. So you also need to be able to become mentally prepared and get your mind right for dealing with that type of collective energy, that collective pain, because it's a lot of emotional energy in a space. Also, especially if it's not, sometimes there'll be some small kind of neighborhood events or things like that where they're not that crowded. But you also have to get your mind right for the fact that you're going to be around a lot of people and you may not have a lot of personal space.
Yes.
So, if you're claustrophobic or if, just the idea of being close to people, especially in the context of COVID makes you really nervous, that you may need to come up with some original contingency plans that it's like, I'm going to be towards the edge. And if it gets too crowded, that this might be the end of my protest.
Right.
But you want to make sure that you're mentally prepared for the fact that these are going to be some slightly different conditions and that are going to feel especially different considering that we've gone from a lot of people sheltering in place and not being around people at all to being in crowds of hundreds to thousands to even 10,000 people, depending on where you're actually located and what you're going to.
And keyword is location there, because if you even think that you might have an issue with the crowd, or if you have a chronic condition that might be flared up by the flood of emotion or just the press of the crowd, know where the nearest emergency room is. And if it is at all possible, try to be as close to that ER, like, within walking distance as you can. Because again, the ambulance might not get to you, and it would be great if you could walk or if people can help you, just get there. Just know where it is, know how to get there. Try not to be too far from it. And that would be like a big part of your contingency plan. It's like, besides having the ID, insurance, the safety goggles and all the masks, sanitizer, gloves. Know where you can get care if you need it and be close to it.
Yes, it's very key to be close. And it's important to know your limitations because it's very easy in these kinds of situations. You're literally getting an adrenaline rush and people all of a sudden begin to think that they're protesting Superman or Superwoman.
Yeah.
And it's knowing what your limitations are, because at the end of the day, no one wants you to be severely injured or very sick because of the struggle.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
That's not what anybody is looking for.
Yeah.
So just be mindful of that, and just some of the basic things we talked about: getting some rest so that your head is clear, making sure that you're eating appropriately so you don't either get sluggish or get sick. Or the other thing is nobody wants to have GI issues out in the middle of a protest. That's not the time to be dealing with diarrhea or nausea. So you want to make sure that it's real basic stuff, but you want to make sure that you're taking care of your body, because by taking care of your body, it allows you to be in a position that not only will you be healthier during these times, but hopefully will add longevity onto your life so that you can leave a legacy where you've been able to be an agent of change. So it's also important to take care of yourself in the midst of wanting to do all of these things. Now, we had a question a while back. I want to circle back to it. They asked, do you know how I can purchase a mask and other supplies? And I have a feeling you know something. Can you tell the public some of this info?
Thanks so much for that question. That's been a big question since the pandemic started, and now with the protests, it's become even more of an issue. And initially I had created a first aid kit, and it's called the Mobile MD kit, and this is it here. And in it, and I know it's kind of big, you might not want to put it in your backpack, but there are things in it that you could take and put into your backpack. Like, say I've got eye wash here, gauze, ace wraps in case you sprain your ankle. You can take some of the things out and put that into your backpack. But then more on what the question was about masks is I made a mini kit. And this is, I'm waiting on the labels, but this is the kit, and it's the mini mobile MD kit, and it has gloves, and it has sanitizer, and it has some surgical masks also. Now I'm going to be adding reusable masks to the kit as well. So, and these come with filters. So you can slide the filter inside there. And so, you know, you can use these, or you can use these, and, you know, these easily slide into a backpack, a purse, things like that. So I would definitely, you know, take the mini kit and take some eye wash, maybe from the original kit, just so that, you know, you can stay safe, treat any minor injuries, and keep going. You know, your protest isn't cut short.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to make sure we have info on how people can find that stuff, because it's really, really cool. And I like how the mini kit, I'm looking at my backpack right now, that would slide in there very well.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And oh, one thing I want to add too is, I know, like, if, you know, from people, you know, wearing their masks like this, you stretch the loops out. So I also put some ear savers in there so that you can, you know, hook it behind your head in case your loops get loose, or if your ears get irritated from having the loops rubbing up against the back of your ears for too long.
That's great, because also the other thing is, sometimes even you can have, that works great for the elastic, but sometimes the elastic on the cloth mask, after you wash them, they loosen up. Or sometimes they're not custom fit, so sometimes they're just a little loose depending on what size your face is. So those are excellent.
And that's a really good point, because the reusable ones actually have an adjuster. So there's like a little thing here that you can like slide back and forth to adjust it so that it fits properly on your ears.
We have another question. Do you have any recommendation? My assumption is this is for goggles, and you may have had some autocorrect, because, you know, autocorrect loves the Google.
Oh, yes. So I would recommend, let's see, an ophthalmologist that I know, Dr. Larry Ferdinand, has eyewear, some very stylish eyewear. I had purchased some goggles from him maybe a month ago, and they're like really sporty, and they were like this light pink color. I just took a picture on it just to say, hey, Larry, I got the goggles, and like 100 people in like a day were like, oh my God, where are those goggles? Somebody bought 6 of them. And I think his website is Dr. Larry IMD. So yeah. So yeah, he definitely has some. He's got the wraparounds in some like sleeker, more feminine looking goggles.
Oh, let's see. I wear eyeglasses. Any tips on minimizing fogging up lenses when wearing a mask?
Now they do have spray, and yeah, you have spray that you can spray on your glasses to avoid the fogging. Otherwise, and I know what he's talking about. Sometimes you may just have to adjust the mask a little bit, but you know, maybe increase some distance. But yeah, sometimes you're just gonna have to like adjust it, or get a different, you know, maybe get like another pair or a different fitting size.
And I did see a hack. It's where you basically are putting a tissue or something right across here, and it helps that seal. Because part of it, I think, is just the fact that we're all wearing masks, and as we were all created to be beautiful and handsome doesn't all have the exact same face shape. So it's true. I think, and that's the issue, is it's like getting something that's going to give you. I apologize. I washed my hands before this. Now I'll be washing them again, because I realize I'm doing demos, touching my face, doing everything I'm not supposed to be doing. Is that to get the best seal you can across there. But I think everyone that has worn glasses has had some mask issue, and they do make some that are designed specifically. I know some people that do surgical things and things like that had talked about some other masks that tend to be a little bit more specific for anti-fogging, but I'm not sure if someone in the community would need something of that level.
Mm-hmm. And also, and just what you were saying about putting something there, you could maybe put a little gauze there, and like a little bit of paper tape if you're allergic to the other kind, to kind of make a bit more of a snugger, more snug fit along the bridge of the nose. So yeah, that's great. A great point that you made about the fog, because I didn't even know about that. So
it's called what you learn when you were sheltering in place for 3 months. And then what you learn when you are no longer sheltering in place and you are back in a hospital. You got to learn all the tricks. And just trying to keep everyone safe, and also encourage people to continue to wear their masks, because what ends up happening, if people start having any discomfort, be their eyeglasses are fogging, or they start feeling like they're getting hot or whatever, then people are more prone to take their mask off.
And yeah, I do understand wanting to take it off. It's funny, because you and I talked about it. Sometimes we're the only ones at our jobs wearing the mask, and we get tired of it too. It gets, hot and humid and stuff. But you still need to wear it. Just take a step back from people, just safely distance yourself, adjust it, get some fresh air, but, put it back on when you cannot safely social distance, because the masks aren't enough. The experts are still saying it's the masks plus the social distancing,
and
hand washing, sanitizer if you can't use soap and water, definitely.
And the thing that's beautiful, I feel like all paths lead back to COVID, is that it's the same. This isn't, COVID solutions are not digital. This is very basic analog stuff. Wash your hands, wear a mask, stay away from people.
Yeah, you can't say it enough.
It's very, very, very analog, but especially in this time where people feel, and I'm one of the people that was like, I'm in the house, I ain't going anywhere, is that, the cause of what's going on right now is something that it's very obvious that our country needs big sweeping change. And that this is just dealing with the senseless death and oppression of Black lives. I can't honestly say just stay in the house.
Yeah.
Because it's, it doesn't seem like it's getting better if people aren't doing things. It's just, we want to make sure that everyone is prepared to not only be physically safe, but I don't want you going into these environments and then being in situations that you can't emotionally handle, and then feeling some type of trauma because you were in these environments. And the other thing is kind of keep an eye out for the different types of environments, because this has come up in a talk I recently did when they were talking about kids. And there's some protests or events that are particularly family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look up those. But the other thing is just kind of like old sage grandma advice. When the sun goes down is when everything happens. Is that, if you're specifically concerned about your safety, be in the house before the street lights come on.
Right. And like my grandmother used to say, have car fare. She used to say car fare, but cab fare. Have some, have a little cash or something, in case you have to use cash to get home, be able to get yourself home, especially if you lose someone, just like Dr. Ericka said, if you don't get enough sleep and, you're not as alert as you need to be, you could lose the person that you came with. And it's like, as soon as you lose that person, like you suddenly want to go. Some people suddenly want to go home. They're like, oh God, I want to go home. So, you got to be able to have a way to get yourself home after the protest.
And this is a good time. We're talking analog. All this stuff is analog. Have some cash on you also, because in large groups, we've all been to large groups. Anyone that's from Spellhouse, at Spellhouse Homecoming, your cell phone doesn't work. Remember everybody that went to Barack Obama's inauguration, no one's cell phone worked except my friends with Verizon. So it's like you also want to have some cash on hand in case there's a situation where your phone doesn't work as well because it's just such a concentration of devices. So I don't want to keep you all here forever, even though I'm having a blast, even though we're talking about a serious topic. I want to ask Dr. Kadisha, do you have any pearls or closing thoughts?
Let me see. I think I went over the main things, but yeah, maybe just to reiterate for those who might have joined late. So, preparation for a protest starts long before you're at the protest. Prepare before you get there. How about that? Prepare before you get there. And,
T-shirt.
Huh?
T-shirt. So make a T-shirt.
Oh yes, yeah. I need to make a T-shirt.
Sorry.
Thank you. But so yeah, don't go alone. Like Dr. Ericka said, have a portable phone charger so that you can keep in touch with them. With the person that even you came with, you might need to call them. And have your ID, your insurance, know where the nearest ER is. If you are an asthmatic or if you're prone to allergic reactions, sometimes stress can bring on allergic reactions. Have your albuterol inhaler, your Zyrtec, things like that, so that your protest doesn't get cut short. Get enough sleep, like Dr. Ericka said, because if you're not alert to what's going on around you, serious things could happen to you, like you being injured by an officer or just a horse colliding with you, or just something. I mean, just like me, I think I was hanging out with some Spellhouse people when I got hit in the head with the full can of soda. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, my bestie from high school went to Spelman, and I was hanging out with them and some people, and we were just hanging out, and it's like because I wasn't paying attention. So I'll just say that. So yeah, those are some parting points that I wanna leave with you. Other than to do get these kids. If you're going to protest, I know Al Sharpton's planning one in August. Who knows what other protests are gonna happen. And just be prepared, and get these things that I prepared for you, the mini kit or the mobile MD kit. Take choice things out, put them in your backpack, take them with you to the protest.
Thank you so much. So before we tell you where you can find the wonderful Dr. Kadisha, I'm going to give you my kind of wrap up tips when it comes to this. The first is get your mind right, get your sleep, make sure you eat properly, make sure you're ready to be hydrated, make sure you tell people where you are going, that you have your adequate health information with you, and that your mind is right to be aware of people around you, being in large environments and crowds, and also know what your limitation is in case you see something that you had not planned on seeing. Because this is a time that I realize people want to speak up. They want their voice heard. They want people to know that they are not comfortable with where we are right now. And it's important that the country gets the message that people are not comfortable with the status quo anymore, and that very much want change. We just want people to be safe change agents in the end of the day, because you know what? Not only do you want you to be safe, it's National Safety Month.
Yes, National Safety Month. And for me, every month is Safety Month.
I know. So can you tell these wonderful people where they can find you?
So guys, thank you for listening to me. First of all, thank you, Dr. Ericka. And you can definitely find me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at Dr. Kadisha MD. My website is the same. So that's DrKadishamD.com. Thank you so much, Doctor. I got to learn how to do this. And but yeah, and my Instagram, my Instagram is popping. So that's Dr_Kadisha_MD. Thank you guys.
Oh, we're just happy to have you here sharing such wonderful information, because this way when we're all making our voices heard, we can be safe about it so that we can be here to protest another day.
Yes. Yes. Because those people who are getting injured and maimed, they're, people aren't remembering who those people are. So, why not just avoid that? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Preach. So again, thank you all so much for taking time out today to spend time with us. We so really appreciate it. We know there are many things on your plate. Everyone is busy adulting, but you chose and made an active choice to spend time with us. And I'm also proud of you for continuing to make choices where you choose yourself, so that you choose you, so that you can build yourself up enough that you can pour out into others, and that lets us have that life of service that we were all meant to have. So thank you again for coming. I am Dr. Ericka, double board certified psychiatrist, integrative lifestyle coach, and best-selling author. I'm on a mission to help women feel whole, valued, and seen on their own terms. But I'm here today. It doesn't matter what your gender. I'm just here to make it through all this craziness with your sanity intact. That's what I'm here for. And if you're starting to feel like any of this is just getting too much, or you know anyone that can use some high quality Harvard trained psychiatry, I might be your person. So right now I'm seeing patients in Georgia and Tennessee. I have a telepsychiatry practice for adults in those two states. Massachusetts will be any day now. Just go to Ask Dr. Goodwin, AskDrGoodwin.com. I can't talk today. We got to the end and then I got tongue tied. AskDrGoodwin.com. You can have a free consultation with me. We can figure out how I can help you. So there's absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. So that's all I got for you tonight. Looking forward to seeing you. I'll be back tomorrow at 7, actually 6. I'm about to tell you all kinds of stories. I'll be back at 6 o'clock tomorrow Eastern for the daily mental wellness tip. And then Thursday, I have another one of my super friends. So this is like my week of super friends. So you got Dr. Kadisha today. Thursday, you get my best friend, Joy Stevens, who is a diversity and inclusion expert and executive coach. We're going to be talking about dealing with the complexities of becoming an ally. And it'll be from the end of what people are dealing with and what people need to do to successfully be allies, but also what it's like being Black, dealing with folks that are either attempting or trying to be allies. So that is some really special content. It's super, super hot off the press. So I can't wait to see you Thursday at 7. So that's what I got for you tonight. Have a wonderful evening, feeling all of the love. I'm throwing some out to you and telling you your usual prescription. Make sure you call at least one person tonight. Tell them that you love them. Again, big thanks to Dr. Kadisha for taking time out for us, because she's so happy and so busy. And have a great night.